If you own a slightly older car, your biggest worry today is probably E20. To talk more about what E20 means, how can it impact your car, is it really that worrisome? What benefits does it have? I have the right man for this purpose, Mr. Hormazd Sorabjee. Hormazd, thank you so much for joining us today. First question, which is something that has been troubling a lot of people, that will OEMs adhere to their warranties if an older car uses E20 fuel?
Well, look, the OEMs or manufacturers are going to go by the book. So if in the owner's manual it says your car can only use E10, they're going to say, well, you use anything other than E10, then we are not liable. Obviously, that's what they're going to do. But reality can be different. So I think, the whole issue really is there's a lot of confusion in the market. And clearly, the thing is, car owners have been sort of blindsided and suddenly this has popped up on it. Though E20 has been coming into the market for a long time, OEMs, manufacturers knew E20 was coming. But I think the communication just hasn't been proper, to the extent. So people are naturally worried. Obviously, there are doomsday scenarios being painted that you put E20 and your car will stop. It's like, it's not like putting petrol in diesel or diesel in petrol and you damage your engine immediately. Yes, there is an impact, especially on the older cars. But again, it's not catastrophic. There is degradation and you will have to change parts. There will be a cost. Who bears that? The OEMs or the customers? It really depends how this evolves going forward. Some OEMs might just do it themselves. Manufacturers might do it themselves. In fact, this is really a chance for manufacturers to kind of step in and give kind of some confidence or peace of mind to their customers and, kind of look after the older cars by retrofitting wherever possible. Everyone can't do it, but some manufacturers, I think, would look at that. So, yeah, manufacturer side, to answer your question, I think, to be honest, everyone's put their hands up. No, you're using E20 in an E10 car. Sorry, that's not our problem. And they're going by the book. Problem is there's no E10 available now. That was the other issue. Everyone's jumped to E20 and now you only have E20.
But, there were some tweets from oil manufacturing, oil marketing companies that XP95 has 10%, though now it's deleted. But what's the clarity on petrol grade? Which one has 20% ethanol and which ones don't have? Though RTI does says that XP95 also has 20%. So what's the clarity on that?
So I think it's quite simple. I mean, that's the whole issue. There's no E10 available right now. So if there was some E10 available, they would have given it. But that's not the case. I think, put it very simply, except for 100 octane, which is the really small volume, high performance petrol, it just wasn't feasible to put an ethanol blend in that. It's just easy to let that be because it sells in very minute volumes. So except for 100 octane, which is, given by brands like IOCL and HP, everything else is E20, but one good thing is which has happened is that the octane level has gone up. So from 91 to 95, now that's a big jump. And that really benefits cars with high compression engines because, high compression engines need 95 octane, but it doesn't benefit low compression engines, which are the mainstream engine. Yeah, that's right. So I think, there are three things what happens with E20. It impacts your fuel efficiency, it impacts wear and tear, and it impacts the performance of the car because obviously ECU calibration is done to different fuels. So if you want, let's look at the most worrisome thing is the impact on the degradation. Now, the only thing we have right now, which even the government is leaning on, is an ARAI study, which says there's not too much degradation. Now, concern is that this is being a bit downplayed and that there could be. Again, it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. Some manufacturers already E20 compliant for a long time. A company like Toyota over 10 years, Honda from 2008, Mercedes also, E20 compliant since BS6. And that is fully E20 compliant. For material compliance, it's even before, so the degradation issue is not there. So again, there's no real clear answer how much the degradation is going to be. But my sense is it's not going to be catastrophic. It will be over time. There will be some cost. You will have to replace rubber parts and seals and, things like that. Worst case, even injectors, can get clogged. But I think, we are quite ingenious. Even the OEMs are. There will be ways to counter this. There could be additives. Now, a lot of people are already saying use additives on social media. To be honest, I don't know which is a good one. So it's best again to go by what the manufacturer says. If you need to use an additive, go by what the manufacturer says. Because you get some additives which can kind of are anti-corrosive in property, so they can counter it a bit. But, I think at the end, there will be issues with, degradation. So I think over time, people will need to change parts, but it's cumulative. Speaking to some of the manufacturers, they said maybe 2-3 years, 60,000 kilometers, you'll start seeing the effects of, the corrosive factors. So, yeah.
Two questions from you. One is, how old my car has to be? Like, of course, you can go check the manual, but in general, I think 2023 is when we can safely assume almost all cars were E20 compliant.
That's right. So all cars from 2023 had to be E20 compliant. So from 23, you should have absolutely no problem. Just fill in E20 fuel. There'll be no issue. But what everyone will face is a reduction in fuel efficiency. Now, again, that varies. Now, don't forget, we've gone from E10 to E20. E10 also had some ethanol, which kind of brought down the calorific value. So you had some fuel efficiency impact. Also, E20 has been in the market for a while. It's been slipped in very quietly, should have been announced, but it has. So people have been unwittingly been using E20 for some time now without even knowing that, as, the ethanol production has been ramped up. So I think, in terms of fuel efficiency, again, it is very varying. Now, PRAI says 1 to 6%. It really depends on the engine. Older engines, low compression ratio engines and very old, which don't have ECUs, very simple ECUs, can't adapt to the new fuel type, they will be the most impacted. You could get 7-8%. Some people are even reporting 15%. The newer engines, not so much, because obviously some of them post 23 are already tuned for E20. Even those before, if you have sophisticated NOx sensors, you can take advantage of the high octane rating, which means you can advance the ignition timing right up to close to top dead center, technical term, which really kind of, produces a little bit more power, gives you a little edge on fuel efficiency and nets off a bit of the loss. You will still have loss, but it can net off a little bit. So it's really, again, as I said, dependent on the car, dependent on the technology, and most important, dependent on the driving style. Now, ethanol or any ethanol-based fuel is much more sensitive to your driving style than normal petrol, which means if you drive aggressively, you would lose more, drop in fuel efficiency with normal petrol, but in E20, it will be even higher because of the low energy density. You have to, suck in more fuel to produce the same amount of power when you kind of floor it. So it's really all, there's no real straight answer. So, but I think the main concern is about wear and tear. There will be, depending on the make, the model, which brand it is. But I would say it's not going to be completely catastrophic.
So one question before I go on to another one, which is, do you think there is anything that a normal person can do? Some additives we talked about. Do you know of any particular additive that can really help, or not right now?
Well, there are additives. I don't want to say because I've not tested them. I've not seen any test results. So I'll just be, saying something unverified, which I don't want to do. But there are a lot of other things you can do. One is, the basics is that you keep changing your fuel filters a lot more often. You keep your tank filled up to the top as much as possible, because ethanol, it attracts water. It's very hygroscopic. So if there's airspace, there's moisture in the air, it'll, pull that water. So if you top it up full, there's no more air and there's no moisture, and that's it.
Nice.
So that's what you need to do. And, you need just run the car a lot more, because ethanol doesn't like staying still. It can delaminate or separate, into various compounds, including water, which then again can be corrosive. So use the car regularly, make sure that the tank is topped up to the fullest. And, that can mitigate some of the issues which you can face with the E20. But, this is the fuel. I think it is the fuel of the future. And in this transition, there is going to be pain. And unfortunately, it's the motorist who will feel it.
What is the benefit of E20?
I think E20, honestly, if you look at it from this, it's actually got a lot of benefits. Firstly,
The one obvious one is that our fuel bill comes down.
Our fuel bill comes down, foreign exchange comes down. We are not dependent on other nations, and any volatility in, global oil prices, that sort of thing. Or geopolitics, exactly. Tariffs, 25% extra for getting crude from Russia, all these sort of things. So clearly it's a fantastic benefit to the rural economy. But for me, what I think is great is that the net CO2 advantage it has, because the way to look at it is all the ethanol production is above the ground. So it's from sugarcane, it's from waste biomass, barley, all this. So depending on which generation of ethanol you're doing, and they all absorb carbon dioxide. So they're absorbing the carbon dioxide, you're using that and then releasing the carbon dioxide back. So, what you're absorbing, you're releasing. But with fossil fuels, you have to take it out of the ground. So that you're just, putting into the atmosphere.
Taking it out and putting it out in the atmosphere.
Exactly. So that's the issue of it. And but I think, there's also this huge debate on cost. Ethanol typically is to be cheaper, and that's, I think, what would have worked well is that you at least gave the consumer the benefit of price to compensate for the fuel efficiency loss. I think here everyone is now going to have to shell out of their pockets, but now government has come very strongly saying that ethanol production is more expensive. So in any case, we've seen that fuel prices don't adjust with global prices. In any case, we've seen the crude oil dropped dramatically from its peak, but our petrol prices haven't come down. But I think going forward, when you go to higher blends, and which we will in the future, when
E20.
E27 and beyond, I think what Brazil has done is, they've got a huge delta between an E27 and an E100, or 30% in price, because that compensates for the fuel efficiency disadvantage. So I think, you've got to do all these things to make it attractive for the consumer. But I think ethanol is the fuel of the future. We need to, go for that.
Just with it.
Yeah, I think so. Because, and for me, frankly, it's a CO2 benefit, and it can make the validity of the IC engine a lot longer.
Sure.
So because it's always seen as the bad guy.
Just EV.
That's right. Because getting the carbon out of the atmosphere or minimizing, carbon emissions is absolutely what we need to do. As always said, CO2 is public enemy number one. It's actually becoming an existential crisis. And, we need to reduce CO2 as much as possible.
CO2 is mainly responsible for global warming. Just background there. The other aspect of it is these performance cars. And then I also want to come to vintage cars. What happens with performance car? Is it advisable to now only go for 100 octane?
So again, it depends if your performance car is E20 compliant. Now, what we've heard from, brands like Mercedes is that, all BS6 cars are E20 compliant. So their AMGs are E20 compliant. And there you get a benefit, because you can use the normal fuel, which is the 95 octane. You don't have to use the XP95 or any other 95 more expensive blend. And some of these cars are fine with 95 octane. So actually, you've got a benefit at a normal pump price. You get the higher octane, and it's fine with E20. On others, some of these imports, the brands which have come from Europe, they are E10. It's advisable to stick to XP100 for two reasons. One, or for many reasons. One, these people can afford the 160 rupees a litre. 100 octane gives you, it works with very high compression engines, which they are, and you don't have any ethanol in it at all. So, but they're only available in, very, very limited quantities in limited towns. So that's how it is. Coming to classic cars, I think they are the ones that can, it's a small community, but they are the ones really impacted by this. And I would say use 100 octane, because though the octane is an overkill, all the classic cars are very low compression engine. There will be no impact on performance. but just to not have that ethanol. And in fact, I've got a old classic BMW, and for some time now, we've seen some of the seals go, the gaskets go, and you don't get these parts anymore. So I think over there you need to be looking at additives, and I think anyone with classic cars, I think is going to be really putting time, effort, love into their cars. So I think there'll be a lot of workarounds for this as well.
I was reading about Brazil's transition to now almost 100. They have products with very high ethanol levels as well. But in this transition, they made all types of ethanol blending fuel available, petrol available. Do you think we should have probably continued with the E10 petrol availability for a longer time?
I think
that was a logistical.
I think that is the big debate. That's what I think even the auto industry wanted, everyone wanted. And don't forget, two-wheelers are going from E5 to E20, so it's much more of a jump for them. But, I think just the logistics of it, you want to push forward. Right now, don't forget, our ethanol production is great. So I think 1,000 crore liters is what we need right now. I think we've got capacity for, 2,000 crore liters. So I think there's a lot which is possible. So ethanol is there. We can produce it in the big quantity. So the idea is let's go towards E20 right now and minimize, the kind of or get away from fossil fuels as much as possible. Obviously, E10 would have been a big help. It would have solved a lot of the concerns the current, let's say, car owners have. But I mean, looking at it from the oil company's point of view, there is a lot of cost in it, an extra bunk distribution challenge. So, they are not bearing the cost. They don't, and again, they're relying or they're leaning back on the ARA report, which says there is not too much damage, and E20 you can manage, as per what the ARA report says. So I think they're banking on that to say that, look, E20 is okay. But obviously, car owners are still quite worried, and it'll take a bit of time to kind of, we'll see how it all pans out. It's too new right now. Yeah. But as I said, nothing's going to happen immediately. It's cumulative. And I think by then, OEMs will work out some kind of, let's say, mitigation solutions for this.
All right, Hormazd, thank you so much for talking to us today. Thanks a lot. So there you have it. You will probably see a little dip in your margins, in your fuel efficiency. And if you have an older car, you are at risk of having some kind of impact on your engine, on your parts and processes. But hopefully, OEMs will find a solution for it. But yes, warranty, I think that's something that you will probably have to say bye to. Thank you so much for watching.